All right, so I'm about to start my second year of university, and my best friend Helen and I are shopping for school supplies. Now, for me, this is pretty much a futile activity, as history has taught me that anything I buy today, by the end of September, it'll all be gone. I'll have left my duotangs in the library, my pens will be capless and run dry, my binder will be living on the bus. In elementary school, my desk was always filled with crumpled up cootie catchers and broken eraser bits, but never my homework that I actually did do. I actually did do it. I just left it somewhere. In university, I look around and everyone was like, typing everything the professor was saying on their laptops, like beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. But whenever I opened my computer, all I could do was go through the promotions folder in my inbox. And, how am I supposed to take in the radical structure of T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland when BuzzFeed can tell me exactly what animal I am based on who my celebrity crush is? So, that first year in university, I get a C in modernist literature, but I score 70% Rachel and 30% Phoebe from Friends. So back in Bureau en Gros, Helen holds up this little tiny Hilroy notebook, has 5 sections in it, and she's like, I think I'll just use this. I'm taking 4 classes, so I'll use 1 section for every class, and then for my last section, that can be my agenda. Sounds as good as anything to me. So that little notebook is the only thing I buy that day. And listen, this might just be the 30% Phoebe talking, but I swear to God, that little $6.50 Hilroy notebook, I swear it must have had its own 2 legs because it came with me everywhere. And I didn't even have to think about it. And I loved how I could just, tuck my pen in the little coil, so I always had one. I loved the pastel-colored dividers between the sections and how they'd, just cheerfully welcome me at the start of class. And the best thing about my Hilroy, the best thing about it, is that I looked so cool and mysterious when I was using it. Like not just like a literature student, but like a real writer. Writing things, writing words, writing secret observations in my teeny tiny notebook. So for the rest of university, I go through 10 generations of Hilroys. And it's like with each successor, their genes become stronger because my grades become better. And by the time I'm finished my undergrad, I want more. The notebook wants more. Go to grad school. My beloved Hilroy whispers to me, I got you. So I go back to school in September 2020. Yeah, you were all there, so I don't need to talk about it. I have to work really hard to keep my eyes on the Zoom screen and to maintain my I'm listening face. There's pensive, emphatic, challenged, but figured it out. Okay. So I forget to write anything down. And since I have no choice but to use my laptop, well, I buy a lot of loungewear that year. And it becomes really clear that my little Hilroy is no match for grad school. But that's when I find it. Or rather, it finds me through a perfectly targeted Instagram ad. The Remarkable. It looks like a real notebook. It feels like a real notebook, but it's not a real notebook. It's a tablet. It's a tablet where you can write directly on your PDFs. It can convert your handwritten notes to typed notes, and you can store an infinite number of notebooks at the touch of a fingertip. So I use the little savings I have to pre-order The Remarkable, and it arrives just in time for school to go back in person. Now this remarkable, it's sleek, it's discreet. I mean, and the ad wasn't lying. It does feel like I'm writing on real paper. I can write directly on my PDFs. The handwriting to text feature isn't so great, and the buttons are kind of small, so every time I click new notebook, it also clicks on new folder, and then I have to delete that folder and just go in the notebook, but that's fine. With my Hilroy, I looked like a poet, but with the remarkable, I look like I work in a building with glass walls. And I have a job that makes me say things like, we're gonna circle back, or brand synergy, or even, with the remarkable, I could even have a job that makes me say, I need 20 cc's of parallelogram on the aft deck stacked. That's a real job right there. That's a real job. And then, about a month into our relationship, I lose the remarkable pen. And another one costs $70, but you know, when you think of all the trees I'm saving, and then I lose remarkable pen the second, and I have to buy another one because without it, this thing is pretty much useless. So now I don't really have any savings at all, but who needs savings when you can be remarkable? Who needs financial stability when you can have a digital notebook called Finances inside of a digital folder called Important, inside of another digital folder called Personal, all packed into a saltine cracker thin tablet that sends everything up into a digital haven called the cloud? I mean, you got everything you need when you have the cloud. And then one day, about 6 remarkable pens later, she just won't turn on. So I charge her for 24 hours and she still won't turn on. I go onto the Remarkable website and I'm expecting to see one of those little things in the corner telling me that someone who may or may not be a robot is here and happy to help if you need anything. But they don't have that. They just have an email address for customer care and a promise to get back to me within 48 hours. Now, I don't remember a single thing of those next 48 hours. I'm pretty sure I was in a fugue state for those 48 hours. When customer care gets back to me, they tell me that I could just mail my Remarkable to their warehouse in China, where it's going to be assessed and examined, and should they find the issue within my warranty policy, then they'll send me a new one free of charge in 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks? I might as well be in a coma than be without my Remarkable for 6 to 8 weeks. My boyfriend, bless his heart, my boyfriend knows a guy who fixes things that are hard to fix, and together they think that they figured out a way to fix the Remarkable themselves. So no putting my life into the hands of international post, no waiting 6 to 8 weeks, just, 2 boys attempting brain surgery in a basement in Rosemount. But the guy who fixes things uses words like motherboard and Dremel and buttons. And so I give him the Remarkable, and I very kindly let him know that if this doesn't work, then you can find your testicles hanging from a telephone pole. But boy who's good at fixes things, turns out he actually is good at fixing things, and 6 hours later, my Remarkable is back into my arms, good as new. All the buttons are working, all of my digital files in the correct digital folders, and I can tell that the screen is like reassured by my touch. And I'm so relieved because everything that I've learned since the beginning of the year, all of that knowledge, it's all still intact. All of my potential, it's all still intact. There is nothing standing in the way between me and my destiny as a professional. A week later, I drop it on the floor and the screen smashes to bits. It's like it's a do not resuscitate situation. And with no other choice, I show up in class empty-handed. I look lost, I look intimidated, I look vulnerable, and I have to work really hard to take in as much as possible, and I know that I'm forgetting stuff. And that's pretty much what I do for the rest of the year. And it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard, and I hand in a lot of things like very late, but I do it. They're like gonna print out the thing that says I did it, so I did it. And now I'm starting to realize that maybe being a real student or a real person, a real adult, isn't about being remarkable. Maybe it's just about showing up, trying really hard to take in whatever you can, however that may look for you. Thank you.